Hey y'all, IrixGuy here, and first of all, thanks everyone for your feedback after my DJI Mavic Pro field test number 1, because it's your feedback that has prompted Mavic Pro field test number 2 that I'm about to film right now. Now, to keep things documented, the wind right now, and let's see, the gust just stopped. I think yesterday, my first field test with Mavic Pro, I think it was around 3.6 knots. The wind today is significantly stronger. I'm getting 5 knots, 4.4 knots, 5 knots, 3.8. And now I got a big gust of 6.8, 6.4, 6.6, 7.1. So significantly stronger wind today, which will be great to see how the Mavic performs. I know after looking at, and let me grab the Mavic and we'll continue this intro here. So I know that yesterday after the field test, it was hard to know how well or how poorly this performed simply by looking at the FPV screen. I know at one point during my first Mavic Pro Flight field test yesterday that that I could see what looked like a little bit of artifacts in the FPV screen, the iPod Touch that I use, and that was a result of lens flare, which may have been caused by the protective piece, the camera protector. So there's a protector for the camera protector, and then there's a camera protector, transparent plastic type material. When I did my field test number 1, I had this attached to better protect the camera. But today, in field test number 2, I'm taking this off. So we're gonna fly just like this, the naked DJI Phantom, the naked DJI Mavic Pro camera. So we're not gonna have anything interfering. Obviously there's no lens filter. One thing that the Mavic Pro rather, does not have is a screw on and screw off filter like you get with your Phantom series. So this is gonna be a true test. And I will tell you, I did a quick flight without a thorough field test like we're doing right now, but I did a quick flight without the camera guard, and I still got lens flare, unfortunately. Now today, unlike my first day in the field, I'm also using a new version of DJI Go app, and it's very confusing because one might assume that if they updated their DJI Go app within the App Store, that they would get the most current, and that's not the case. There's actually a separate download for DJI Go app 4. So today I'm using the most current DJI Go app 4. Since my first flight in the field, my Mavic Pro first flight, I've also updated the firmware yet again. So the firmware is current as of this point in time, as of the day that I'm posting this video, which I don't have a date on my watch right now, but I think it's Sunday, so it's the day after I posted my first flight. So let me put this up and we're going to get started here. Again, I'm using the iPod Touch that I like to use and the Mavic Pro controller. Another tip that a viewer had was to slightly, even though you don't have to stretch them out all the way, to slightly separate the propellers so that it doesn't have to go through so much strain when it powers on and spreads the propellers for flight. So just another good tip out there. Let's see if I'm connected here. Again, DJI Go app version 4. I don't think I seated my, I got to reseat my lightning style cable here. That's a minor gripe that I have with the Mavic Pro, is that this thing works, but it's kind of finicky. The little connector. Okay, now it's working because I felt the phone start to receive USB power. Okay, so we're about to go into DJI Go app version 4. I'm in there. The first thing I'm going to do is format my card, because I am using the card that came with it, which is not exactly large capacity, and I've filmed quite a bit already. So I formatted the SD card, micro SD card rather, within the app. We will be using the same video settings, 4K 30 frames per second. It's looking for a visual acknowledgement that that's my setting. Yeah, 4K 30 with the card that came with mine. I'm looking at 35 minutes of recording time at 4K 30. So it ought to be interesting to see how this works. So everything is greened up, ready to go. GPS again. I already have the most current firmware installed. I am using again DJI Go app 4. Now there's a lot of speculation on the internet, and I haven't tested it yet. The DJI Go app version 4 does not require the tap to focus. So the first part of this flight, from when I take off, I'm not going to tap anything. I'm just going to hit record, and we're going to see what the 4K 30 video quality looks like. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get airborne here. I'm hitting record right now. Okay, the camera is now recording, and I'm actually going to opt to take off using the takeoff button. So there's a little up arrow. I'm going to hit that. It says ensure that it's safe for takeoff, blah blah blah. I'm going to hit OK. So we're at a safe. That's how it takes off. If you hit the takeoff button, it just goes to a safe altitude and hovers. So let's go ahead and get into this. Let's ascend to a few feet here. About 28 meters right now. And now I'm going to go forward. Again, no camera guard attached. We'll make a turn here. Use the gimbal wheel and go down. One thing I did not do is adjust the speed of the gimbal wheel, and that's something to do to make it more optimal for filming. Ascending. Okay, let's look at the focus. I'm going to come slowly towards me. Again, I have not tapped the screen to autofocus. I'm just going with the assumption that it may already be focused because I'm using DJI Go app version 4. Let's see what this looks like here. And also looking at the hover, how precise is the hover? Is there a lot of fluctuation? Let's see if we can change our gimbal wheel speed. It's too fast. I like it slow for the more slow and... Okay, yeah, it's on a 50. We're gonna take it down to like a 28. So now let's see what the gimbal wheel speed looks like with 28. That's still fast. I think it's just because I'm used to the Phantom. So let's take it down even lower from 28. Let's take it down to let's see. I'm going to take it down to 8 or 9. It's on 9 right now. Yeah, that's more like it. That's what I like for cinematic. Because you want a very slow down and a very slow up. Okay, so that's gimbal wheel speed 9, just for reference there. Let's take it out over the field here. Again, have not autofocused. Something I question about this is the stability of it. Make a turn there, kind of a rapid turn. And the more I thought about it, field test number 1, the landing of this was a little bit different than a Phantom. It's like it got to a certain altitude, and then it would kind of stop, and once you got to a certain elevation, it would land itself if you push down again. And the more I think about that, I think it may be a way for it to better detect the ground. So when you're flying low to the ground like I am right now, I'm approximately 2.6 meters off the ground, give or take a meter or so. And I think that may be a way, possibly a way to better prevent it from making contact with the ground while flying. So just a theory I have at least. Don't know if it's necessarily the case. Let's try that tripod mode again. I know the tripod mode was really cool. To access the tripod mode, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see it on this camera, but I basically just hit it looks like a little controller icon. Intelligent flight mode gives me some terms and conditions I got to agree to. And then when I'm in that, I can select tripod. I'm going to select tripod. Flight and speed control sensitivity will be substantially reduced for the control. And this is just saying it's going to go a lot slower because it, you want that more slow and more smooth and cinematic look. So I've entered tripod mode. And now let's see how this looks. So again, super duper slow. This is max speed right here. Forward it is. And there's wind. Significant amount of wind right now. And I'm going to bring this to the camera so you can see how it's compensating for the wind, which is really impressive when you think about it. This obstacle avoidance is probably going to go off here in a second. But look at that. And again, I was observing wind gusts up to about 7 knots, around 7 knots. You can see it's doing a little bit of compensation there. But the video, as you can tell, and I'll kind of flip back and forth. Now we got a stronger gust. The video, at least in my FPV display, looks pretty smooth. It doesn't look like the wind is adversely affecting it that much, if at all. There is a little bit, I can see a little bit of drift back and forth. Let's fly now. Let's go over some leaves over here. Let's see, there's leaves on the ground that are blowing around, just as a visual indication of how blustery it is temporarily. So it's in tripod mode. Had I not been in tripod mode, it would have been interesting to see how that would have dealt with wind. Let's go over, the wind gust kind of died down. Let's go over my landing pad real slowly and see what kind of detail we can get in tripod mode. And I'm also going to gimbal wheel down as we go over it. That's one of my favorite effects, is to like do the gimbal wheel while moving forward. It just gives a really cool cinematic type look. Now I'm going to do it in the reverse. This kind of makes it look like the camera's bending, I guess is the best way to put it. So that is pretty cool. Now let's get out of tripod mode. Let's try another ActiveTrack. Again, yesterday I didn't have DJI Go Out version 4, and I didn't have the firmware that I installed yesterday when I installed version 4 of Go App. So we're going to go into ActiveTrack, and we're going to bring this over to me, because this visually recognizes me. So now I've just got to find myself here. And I'm going to tap myself and I'm going to do go. So in theory, this thing should follow me around. Okay, so for some reason it didn't get me that time. I'm going to do it again here. ActiveTrack. I selected myself and then I did go. I'm going to stand still for a second. And now I'm going to move. It's tracking me this time. And obviously a way to confuse ActiveTrack that I found is to run directly underneath it. So if I run underneath the drone, I should be able to get it to break lock with me. Okay, so that was interesting because even though it lost me, it was able to re-identify me without having me to perform any manual intervention. So that was kind of cool. Okay, so that's ActiveTrack. I've still got it engaged. I'm simply going to hit stop, and now I'm going to fly manually again. So let's see here. Trying to see what other modes may be of interest here. We do waypoints and that sort of stuff. I want to save that for a later tutorial. Let's fly around and see what if we can get any degraded performance due to the mild amount of wind. Yeah, I'm also curious to see if this new Go App 4 is making it look better, if the new firmware is making it look better, if we're able to get any props in the field of view, any sort of wobble with the video while I'm flying. I'm going to make some kind of sharp turns and see if we can introduce video shake. Now I'm going to go down, descend. Now I'm going to go forward and up at the same time. Now we're going to make a turn while I'm going up and a spin. Let's just give this thing a true test here. That was the most disappointing aspect for me with my first day in the field was the video shake. Not as much the degraded video quality. And when I say degraded, I mean it's not as high quality as Phantom 3 Pro or Phantom 4. You know, I could live with that for the smaller travel size and smaller travel weight, but it was the shake. You know, anytime you got camera shake, it pretty much makes a video less watchable, and it takes away from the professionalism of it. So hopefully even with this wind that we're experiencing today, hopefully we're not going to see shake like we did during the first field test. So the battery life remaining is 56%. I've been recording for let's see here, 11 minutes and 40 seconds, I think. Or maybe that's counting down. Oh no, I've been recording video for 13 minutes and 12 seconds. It's directly under the video record icon. The other, maybe that's battery life remaining, or maybe that's SD card remaining. I'll have to look that up offline. Now we're flying in reverse. Go forward again here. Okay, the wind's picking up. Yes, quite blustery. So if we're going to see any sort of degraded stability, now's the time, I think. Again, it's hard to accurately gauge the performance of this looking at my small FPV screen. But just to recap, in case you may have fast forwarded the video, this is DJI Go App 4 and the most current firmware at the time of posting this, and I do not have the camera guard on. So this is, the Mavic Pro is being flown without the clear plasticky type camera guard on it. My first field test, I had it on the entire flight. And I've not yet tapped anything to autofocus. So since I've got an estimated 47% battery remaining, let's hit the screen and do a, well, let's see. Let me see if this is the, I'll have to look at what these icons mean. Yeah, the interface has changed a lot on version 4. So if the video, the image quality has been good all the way through, I have not tapped to focus like I had to with the old version of DJI Go app that I was using during flight test number 1. Let's get close to me again and see the detail here. This is not in tripod mode, this is just regular mode. Let's test obstacle avoidance again at a safe speed, obviously. See, that's obstacle avoidance. Again, never trust it, but it is nice to know it's there. See, it doesn't let it go forward. I would never test that though. So we've been recording for 16 minutes and 19 seconds, and I've got an estimated battery life of 42% remaining. So for something this small and this lightweight, that is very nice. And especially given the physical size and weight of the batteries. I mean, throwing extra batteries in your pack along with other gear is not cumbersome. So I mean, that's an advantage. Now, ultimately, what's going to make or break it for me is the video quality, and I'm hoping that today, even with this semi-erratic flight style, that I'm not getting the video shake and the video distortion like I did during my first day of flying in the field. So that's what matters most to me, is just getting good, shake-free, high-quality video. Because the size is definitely an advantage. Let's do a descent and an ascent. See how that is. You know, even with the Phantom series, if you ascend or descend, you can notice a little bit of wobble. I'm curious to see how that looks. We're at 37% battery remaining. Let's do some gimbal wheel stuff. We're gonna fly over me here while I gimbal down. Again, I slowed down the gimbal wheel speed to give it that more cinematic look. It is cloudy out here today. %36 battery remaining. do some crazy turns here and see what we get. One thing I didn't try is point of interest. Let's do that really quick. Point of interest worked well, as you can see there. My battery's getting low, so I'm going to go ahead and land. So you were curious about the landing. Well, let's see, yeah, you can see it on the camera. So I bring it down to about this altitude. By the way, 28% battery remaining. I've been recording video for 20 minutes and 10 seconds. So when I get it to about this height to land, let's see, about right there. So it gets to a certain height and then it'll kind of stop. And then, let me hit stop recording. It'll kind of stop and then it'll land itself. It'll go down the rest of the way by itself. You know, that can be good in most scenarios. It's actually a disadvantage for me because a lot of times I'll land on the front of a very small boat, and you know, when I do that, it's a situation where if a wave kicks up or whatever, that I may have to abort landing real rapidly. So, you know, it going all the way down by itself would not be as optimal for me. So I'm going to investigate the settings and see if there's a way that I can force a complete manual download, meaning manual landing rather, meaning that when I get close to the ground that I can still continue to have manual control. So if I want to abort and then try to reattempt the landing, I can do that. But yeah, this was field test number 2. Again, without, oh, let's see if the motors are hot. This was a question people had. The motors don't feel warm, but what does feel warm is this underbody. It's warm to the touch. I'm going to go ahead and turn the drone off. Turn the controller off. So, yeah, it's warm right here on this metal type part. The camera doesn't feel warm. The motors don't even feel the slightest bit warm to the touch, which is interesting. You know, I was expecting, if anything warmed up during flight, I was expecting the motors to feel warm, and they don't. So that's, you know, something that I'd questioned during field test number 1 of the Mavic Pro was the, you know, the longevity of these motors, because they are smaller. But at least from a heat perspective, you know, you saw the entire flight. The only thing I noticed that heated up was this, and it wasn't hot, it was just warm to the touch. There's a difference between something that's hot and will semi-burn your hands versus something that you touch and it's just kind of warm. And now keep in mind, it is approximately 42 degrees Fahrenheit, so you know that may come into the equation as well. But yeah, let's you know, tell me what you think about this video, because obviously at the time of posting this, at the time of filming this rather, I'm not looking at the edited video, so it's gonna be interesting to see how it performed without the camera protector on. So thanks for your viewership. Stay tuned for more DJI Mavic Pro and hopefully DJI Phantom 4 Pro videos soon. You know, unfortunately, my first Phantom 4 Pro, I had a dead on arrival controller that I could not resolve the issue. So I've got to get another one. But yeah, tell me what you think and be sure to subscribe. YouTube.com/IrixGuy. Thanks for watching and y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. It's viewers like you that enable my channel to continue to grow. Thank you.